I have found the best 1 minute scalping strategy that has an extremely high win rate. Even though this strategy is very simple and easy to follow, it still makes crazy profits. This strategy can be used on any asset with a high level of volume, like crypto, Forex, gold, and even stocks. So make sure you watch this video all the way through to the end if you'd like to know how to use it in a profitable way. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications so you don't miss out. Now we've gotten that all out of the way, let's get into it. So let's first head over to TradingView.com and change our time frame to 1 minute. Now let's add our indicators to the chart by coming up here to our indicators tab and typing in 1 minute scalping, which is this indicator here by Gustavo Ruby. The second indicator we will be adding will be called the ATR stop loss finder, which is this one by Verifid. Then the last indicator we will be adding to the chart to complete our strategy will be the ADX and DI, which is this one here. Now let's change the indicator settings to optimize them for the 1 minute time frame. So first we will head over to the ATR stop loss finder, navigate to your style section, and now let's uncheck our ATR tables as we won't be using it for this strategy. Now head over to the input section and we're going to be changing our ATR multiplier from 1.5 to 2.5. After doing this, we will uncheck our show price lines, and then we're also going to be changing the color of our high and low band. Now let's change the settings on our 1 minute scalping indicator. So we'll double click on that, and in our input section we're going to be changing our trend length period from 100 to 88. Now we'll be heading over to the style section and change the second bar's color to a more neutral color. We will be leaving the first 3 options checked, however we will be unchecking all of the other options. Now let's head over to our ADX and DI indicator and change its settings. First navigate to our style section and uncheck the ADX box as well as our 20 level. We'll also make these a little thicker just to make it more visible. Now that all of the indicators have been properly configured, let me show you when to enter into a position. We will enter into a buy position when the following conditions have been met. First, the line from the 1 minute scalping strategy needs to be colored in green, and we also need to make sure that the price action is trading above our line. Second, the ADX and DI indicator needs to issue a new buy signal. This is done whenever the green line crosses up above the red line. Lastly, the trigger candlestick or the one previous to it must be colored in green. If all of these conditions are met, we can safely enter a long signal on the close of our trigger candlestick. Once we are in a position, we will be placing our stop loss at the lower ATR line. Then for the take profit, we will be targeting 1.5 times the risk. So why does this strategy work so well? And the answer is simple. The first indicator we added to the chart is the indicator that will help us identify the trend direction. We will only enter into a long trade when our candlestick is green. This is because we know that we're not in a ranging market. Lastly, we use the DI lines to determine whether it is a good time to enter into a trade. So now let's go ahead and take a look at when we'd enter a short position. First, we need to make sure that the line we used for determining the trend direction is colored in red. We also need to make sure that the price action is trading below this line. Second, we need to move down to our DI lines and make sure that a sell signal has been provided. This is the case if the red line crosses up above our green line. Lastly, the previous candlestick or our trigger candlestick needs to be colored in red. Since all of these conditions are met, we can safely enter our short position on the close of this trigger candlestick. We will be bringing our stop loss up towards our upper ATR band, and our take profit target will be 1.5 times the risk. Since there are quite a few conditions for this strategy, let's go over some situations where you wouldn't have entered into a position. As you can see here, the candlestick has just turned green and is now trading above the trend indicator line. We also see that there was a new buy signal issued by the DI lines. However, we would not be entering into a position because the 1 minute scalping line has not turned from red to green. If we would have entered this position, let's see how it would have played out. So this trade would have been unsuccessful, and this is why we would have skipped it. Here we see that the line had turned green, and we also had a green candlestick. We also see that the price action is trading above the 1 minute scalping line. However, if we take a look at our DI lines, we see that the crossover happened before all of our other conditions were met. Therefore, we would simply just skip this trade. If we had have entered, let's see how it would have played out. And this is why we wait for all of our confirmations. Now that you know exactly how to trade with this strategy, let's get into our backtesting and see how profitable it really is. Backtesting is complete, and now here are the results. So this strategy actually managed to retain a 70% win rate, which is really high for a 1 minute scalping strategy. The profit and loss on our account increased by 634%, which is absolutely insane. We managed to find those 100 setups within 2 months. Our profit factor was 4.34, and we had 8 consecutive wins against 4 consecutive losses. So I would say overall this strategy is really good for a 1 minute scalping strategy. If you do have any questions down below, please ask them. And if you did enjoy, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and turn on those notifications so you don't miss out. I love you all. Peace.